I'm going to very briefly go through the fundamentals of converting a Ford Fusion to front-wheel drive when you don't want to deal with the transfer case problems. I'm not going to go into describing all the transfer case issues, but as you know, gear oil gets ruined because of the heat and bad design and so on and so forth. What you got to do is you got to remove all the other gears and just leave this one here, and you can leave that pinion there. Basically, you remove the intermediary gears so that this thing doesn't spin, and get rid of the drive shaft and fill it up with fresh gear oil. That way it stops rattling. You have to have the transfer case on there to form a seal to close off the transmission. So you keep your original all-wheel drive half shaft, and you keep your transfer case on there, but it's now gutted and filled with fresh gear oil so it doesn't rattle. I could have, maybe filled it with fresh gear oil and kept using it. Rather not take a chance. I don't want any noises. Economy is bad. I just want to get this car sold and get some money. You know what I'm saying? Nobody cares if it's all-wheel drive. This is California. I doubt the selling price will go up much. The car is really battered and whatnot. So I just want to fix it, sell it. So we're getting rid of the all-wheel drive. You can pull the drive shaft to disable all-wheel drive. Car will run with no codes, no problems, no nothing. Thing is, if your transfer case is bad, it's going to be rattling. And if it's rattling, you can't sell the car. It's making bad noises, and it could seize up and cause a problem. So this car, in order to do the transfer case, you just kind of take the wishbone out, this kind of mount down here, and that'll allow you to tip the engine, and then you just go at the bolts. You got to remove the catalytic converter that's nearby, and you need to remove that to get to all the bolts. Most of the bolts you get to from this side, when you get to on the opposite side, you just got to kind of feel for it. You also want to loosen the subframe a little, but ultimately kind of jacking the engine forward allowed it to drop down. So it's pretty involved. It's not impossible, but it's probably harder than like a Subaru engine or something. But yeah, just remove the intermediary gears and then use the case here just to seal it, and just lube it up for this idler. It's still going to be spinning, but with zero load at all. It's not going to be meshing with any gears. It'll be bathed in fresh gear oil. I'm not going to drain it, drill and tap it. It's not going to be under any load. I'm just going to run it as is with some gear oil in there, and maybe even a little grease. Maybe throw a little grease on the actual part of the bearing and then douse it with gear oil. I think these bearings can run grease as well. Looks kind of like a wheel bearing. But idea is I'm just going to clean it and use it just to seal things. I'd like to knock those splines out and not have it receive any power at all. That's a little too involved. But I remove one gear there and another right there, right next to those axles. With those two gears out, a lot less moving parts, a lot less sources of noise. This one's not moving, so that's 3 less moving metal parts and fresh gear oil. We should have no noise, little chance of any serious failure. Also, I'm going to silicone the daylight out of the surface where this thing mounts up to the engine, just because the transmission fluid has to seal down that tube. Anyways, that's how I'm doing my all-wheel drive delete. I'm cheap, I want to sell this car, get some money. I don't want to deal with it. So I'm just going to take this case, gut it, mount it, get the car the fuck out of here. All right, thank you for watching.